Welcome to the Fool's Journey through the Major Arcana. I'm your host Andrew, and my guest for this trip is Sylvia. Welcome Sylvia, I'm really excited to learn more about the tarot. I've been a student for a number of years, but there's so much to learn, I sometimes get a little lost.
Hello Andrew, thank you. I'm equally excited to be able to connect with everyone on this journey Kathy has created for us.
Wonderful. Sylvia, I believe you're going to tell us about the Fool and his or her journey through the Major Arcana of the Tarot. Can you elaborate a little before we depart?
Of course, Andrew. So, the Major Arcana of the Tarot represents the spiritual side of our earthly existence, those aspects of ourselves that we each have but don't pay much attention to. The Fool represents each of us at a spiritual level, our connection and awareness of our spiritual side, or the lack of it. At its core, the Fool's journey is a path-working experience that can be applied to any aspect of our lives. In this example, it takes us through the different stages of life on Earth. But it can be applied at any level, such as job searching, during a healing process, business development or decision-making, and even when you're packing to go on holiday.
Oh, I think I'll have to learn that last option, Sylvia. I'm forever forgetting something when I'm going on a trip.
That makes two of us, Andrew.
So, we're off on a journey that will help us understand our progress through the stages of life on Earth. The mic's yours, Sylvia.
Thank you, Andrew. The Fool is the zero entity of the tarot deck. This means that although it is full of potential, it's empty to begin with. The first phase of our journey ranges from conception to 3 years of age, and is instigated when the parents, in this case the Emperor and Empress, copulate and the sperm penetrates the ovum, resulting in the ignition of the spark of life within the Empress. Card 1, the Magician, can be seen as the miracle of conception and the embryo growing and receiving the necessary physical assets, sustenance and tools they'll need on their earthly quest. As displayed on the table before him, the Magician endows the Fool with passion and creativity, in the form of the suit of wands, emotional wisdom and empathy from the suit of cups, mental faculties bestowed by the suit of swords, and physical or earthly awareness shown in the suit of pentacles. Card number 2, the High Priestess, represents the second stage of life, which is that of connecting and activating the spiritual and physical natures of the fetus. Although we can assume that this connection is made when the sperm penetrates the ovary, it can also be assumed that although spirit is ever present, human awareness has yet to be awakened to it. Unfortunately, this is the case in most of us, well into adulthood, and often all the way into the grave. The High Priestess, representing our ethereal being, empowers the Fool with the initial spark of life as well as the senses, those of inspiration, emotion, imagination, and intuition, all of which connect to our physical being to integrate with the 5 physical senses: touch, sight, hearing, taste, smell. Card 3 is the Empress, the Fool's portal into human existence. She is the Fool's world during the incubation period and for a good 3 years after birth. As the mother figure, the Empress provides physical, emotional, intellectual and intuitive sustenance that empowers the Fool to develop into a fully fledged human, capable of forging a path for themselves in the world we occupy. Phase 1 is a very short period of our lives, but it's possibly the most important. Next, we expand our awareness to the wider world, the masculine domain of the Emperor. Of course, the father figure plays an important part in the first 3 years of our lives. He is after all providing for the Empress and ensuring she is protected and has the right nourishment and care to accommodate to growth and development of the Fool. Standing for safety and authority, the Emperor, card number 4 of the tarot deck, rules the household and shields the family from intruders. In the greater world, the Emperor stands for power, authority, rules and regulations, and taking on responsibility. Once the Fool has learnt to communicate, around 3 years of age, he begins to learn the human rules to integrate into the larger community. The Emperor element, which has the power to instigate and implement these, becomes more active in the Fool's life. Although still in a protected environment, the Fool becomes more aware of the family unit and their role within it. Other human traits are awakened within the Fool, such as love and respect, integrity and taking on responsibilities. Card number 5, the Hierophant, comes into play from this young age as well, and plays a major role in the rest of the Fool's life. The Hierophant stands for lessons learnt from others. As the receptor, the Fool ventures into the world with guidance from educators such as tutors, coaches, and trainers. These bodies empower the Fool with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to unravel their potential to accomplish his or her purpose on Earth.
This all makes so much sense, Sylvia. But obviously, life isn't quite this smooth sailing.
Absolutely not, Andrew. But we're only on card number 5. There are 78 cards in the tarot deck, but we've arrived at that crucial stage of integration. Now that we've met all of the Fool's major carers, we move into the moment when he or she becomes the carer, in card number 6, the Lovers. Becoming an active member of their community is an important part of the integration process, and entering puberty and the adolescent years, with newly awakened senses and more complicated emotions, the Fool becomes inspired to cultivate romantic relationships and challenge those who would hinder their progress in this regard. Here the first signs of true independence motivate the Fool to put their acquired knowledge and behaviors into practice, as they tussle between their own desires and societal standards. Bearing in mind that each individual progresses through life at their own pace, in accordance with the requirements of their mission on Earth, the next challenge finds the Fool coming up against is themselves. The first card of the power phase is number 7, the Chariot. This phase might extend from the late teens into the early 30s. Having learnt the lessons of youth, we find the young person leaving home for the first time. Possibly to work, travel, or study. The Fool is well kitted out to face life alone. Armed with the attributes bestowed on them by their carers, the Fool stands proud and ready to face the world on their own terms. The Chariot card is full of symbolism showing how well the Fool has been raised. You'll find more information on these in our upcoming videos on symbolism, colors, numbers, and so on. For now, let's focus on the fact that the Fool is ready and raring to embrace their independence. Card number 8 is Strength. Whilst the Chariot showed that the Fool was ready from a theoretical perspective, strength is where the action takes place. This is where experience is gained and the Fool learns and uses their newly attained lessons of confidence and courage to temper his or her own abilities and powers to achieve desired results in all aspects of life. Closer to the age of 30 and into the rest of our lives, we gain experience that we're then required to pass on to others. The Hermit, card number 9, is where our wisdom meets practical application. Depending on the experience the Fool has gained up to now, he or she is in a position to start applying it to greater use. As we know, a finished product takes time to imagine, plan and create. There is an incubation period between what has been learnt and the manifestation of anything new. The Hermit is shown as an elderly figure, holding the light of knowledge, ready to share with others. He stands outside in the open, willing to give to those who seek. The process the Fool undergoes here may take a week or the rest of their life. There is no time limit, nor is there any way to rush this experience. Some of us work in menial jobs for the best part of our lives, nurturing a hobby or interest on the side, and only on retirement do we get the opportunity to bring our project out to the world. For a few people this happens much earlier in life, even in childhood. This may come in any format of wisdom, and if we're not aware of the rare value of the Hermit, then our lives can become lackluster and we lose the motivation to follow that sliver of hope that brings us closest to a joyful existence.
Wow. That's potent, Sylvia. I was taught that the Hermit is a sign that it's time to go within and connect with my spiritual wisdom.
Is that not what I just described, Andrew?
In a sense, yes, but I've never thought of it like this. To me, I imagine going into hours of meditation and self-reflection.
Yes. Meditation. It's good for you and the Hermit encourages it, but in the bigger picture of life, and especially throughout the Fool's journey, we are exploring our earthly quest. So the information we gather here has a bearing on your entire life, not just one aspect of it. You're gathering knowledge and experience every step of the way. One instant, or card, isn't what it's about. We're looking at the big picture, the ingredients that's gathered and percolated within a human lifetime, that constitutes who you are in your entirety, not just one element like meditation, that you may or may not accommodate from time to time.
Phew. I never thought the Hermit was so deep.
All of the major arcana are deep. We often overemphasize them in their positive aspects or, as with the Hermit, completely miss the point. For example, if you find the Hierophant and the Hermit together, you're looking at higher education, possibly someone studying towards a master's or doctorate. This could also show a person on sabbatical, or a writer doing research to write an educational book. Shall we continue on our journey?
Of course, thanks for sharing the perspective with us, Sylvia. Before we continue, can I ask our viewers to please comment on their take of this perspective? I'm quite stunned by Kathy's insights on most of the cards so far, but it's helping me to broaden my understanding, and hopefully it'll do the same for others.
I hope so too, Andrew. Kathy's intention is to encourage everyone to learn to use the tarot to connect to their intuition, if they have trouble doing so without help. And she'll respond to your comments personally. I'd also like to add that you need to use the cards as often as possible to enable that precious connection to activate. It's been too many years that we've been trying to make sense of the tarot by trying to use textbook learning on them. It simply doesn't work that way for most of us.
True, Sylvia. I'm still trying to learn after about 15 years of reasonably dedicated effort. But that's what her Learn to Read the Tarot Like a Psychic course is about, right? Learning to connect to the cards, without feeling like you're toasting your brain.
Yes, that's right, Andrew. Subscribers can get all the information on the course, and there's an interesting opportunity on offer now, called the Intergalactic Virtual Odyssey, a year-long journey into your inner self. I don't have many details, but please look out for the video on this topic, or ask for it in the comments.
Excellent. So, for anyone who doesn't know, you're looking for info on the Learn to Read the Tarot Like a Psychic course by Psychic Glympse. You can also communicate with Kathy and Anne in the comments section, and they'll get back to you soon, usually within 24 hours. Okay, now, let's get back to the Fool's journey.
Right, Andrew, a quick recap on how far our Fool has come. We started with the love of the parents, the Emperor and Empress, which lit the spark that instigated the flame of life, which we refer to as the Fool. The High Priestess, Spirit, bears witness to the birth of the spark and welcomes the magician who imbues the new life with its physical attributes, to coincide with the spiritual gifts. Although we think of ourselves as mere humans, how often do we really acknowledge our true, innate, magical powers? The gifts of our senses, the miracle of thought and imagination, and the fascinating ability to regenerate ourselves, as in healing. Our world really is filled with magnificence, and the most miraculous part of it all is that there are no duplications. In the physical world, the Empress takes ownership during this incubation period and receives the Fool into the material world, where she and her husband, the Emperor, nurture and take care of their pride and joy. As the Fool grows, he or she is slowly introduced to the customs of their environment through the channels of their family and beyond. Love, empathy and nurturing from the Empress. Responsibility, commitment and dedication added by the Emperor. Education provided in the form of the Hierophant. Community or society is introduced by the Lovers. Independent action demonstrated in the Chariot. Self-control developed by Strength. And the preparation to contribute at the juncture of the Hermit. By now the Fool is a fully fledged human and ready for self-actualization, in the form of putting their accumulated knowledge and experience into action. But, as we are aware, there are always more lessons to learn, more mountains to climb and challenges to overcome. Making the right decisions is a challenge in itself. The Fool cannot think only for themselves, there are always other people and situations to consider. Card number 10, the Wheel of Fortune, finds the Fool in such a situation. We all want that will to be going up, but are we prepared to put in the dedicated effort to ensure our desired outcome? On the other hand, sitting on top, which is where most of us want to be, will not prove to be a long-lasting experience. The wheel could easily slip backwards, or fling forwards, risking all the effort we've put in to achieve our goal. As any entrepreneur will testify, once a goal has been reached, the actual challenge lies in its maintenance. A quick example is paying a fortune on advertising, then sitting back and expecting that one-time payment to produce clients consistently, without having to pay again, or slacking off on providing the products and services to complement your offer. The most fascinating card in the tarot deck is the Wheel of Fortune. When we inspect the image, it's clear that this card represents a turning point in our lives. All elements of the minor arcana are shown with a book, learning from or recording experiences to date. Yep, the top of the Wheel of Fortune is definitely what we're all aiming for, but is our Fool able to do the necessary to maintain the pace of that dance? Like any roller coaster ride, the Wheel of Fortune spins regardless of whether the Fool hops on for the ride or not. A risk has to be taken, a decision made. There is no way to hang on to what we've got, or get what we want without taking the initiative, without consulting our inner wisdom. and taking responsibility for what happens next in our lives. Justice is card number 11 of the tarot, and as the image shows, this is where a bit of karma comes into play. We're not talking about universal karma here, but the simple results from the Fool's recent endeavors on the Wheel of Fortune. That inner realization that something is amiss, like the right effort or skill weren't employed to get the desired result. Say the Fool didn't quite make it on the Wheel of Fortune this time. Justice offers an opportunity to reassess what went wrong. As the implementer of the laws laid down by the Emperor, Justice demands balance. Anything else is cut away by the sword in her right hand. Failure is friends with the Magician, the High Priestess and the Hierophant, all of which accompany the Fool in the Wheel of Fortune tumble of chance. Assembling the necessary quotients of knowledge gained and knowledge shared, in the internal process of defining purpose and the best way to present it to those who need it. This can be seen as the halfway point of our Fool's journey. It can happen at any time in our lives, and in any venture we're invested in, but for the Fool we'll estimate it between the ages of 30 and 65. Once the Fool has acknowledged the imbalance in his, or her life, it's time to get back to the drawing board. Card number 12 of the tarot deck, the Hanged Man, offers this opportunity. An internal audit. The Fool is mature now, and has some indication of their personal strengths and weaknesses. Now it's time for a reassessment before moving forward. Death, the 13th card of the tarot, displays what can be perceived as the flag of superior knowledge, as ugly as it can be portrayed. At least the white stallion triggers a positive atmosphere. We witness the errors that the Fool has decided to release. People and things from the past that have acted as a hindrance to progress. We assume the bishop represents the Fool's beliefs, whilst the woman and child might show current or future objectives. Bearing in mind that the cards were created in an extremely patriarchal environment, by members of a secret society. In the distance, we see the sun rise behind a city. We're going to assume that this is the Emperor's domain, a memory to the Fool, who has stripped him herself of past connections, in order to transcend into their personal purpose. We want to absorb the fact that there is very little mention of team play throughout this journey.
I was wondering about that, Sylvia. We live in a society where teamwork is almost demanded. If you're not a team player, you're almost an outcast.
Yes, Andrew. That's how it feels. But in the end, we have to remember that we arrive in this world alone, and we will depart alone. This exercise is aimed at preparing each of us for the fact that we have to hold ourselves accountable at every juncture of our journey through life. There will, of course, always be other people in our lives, even for those of us who fit the lone wolf archetype. It's too easy to plant the responsibility of our existence onto others and then accuse them of nasty things when they reject our neediness. In card number 14, Temperance, we find the Fool exercising their alchemical skills in an attempt to get the right balance, required by the Justice card, to attain that gold glimmering in the background. The angel wings illustrate an honest attempt at connecting with their higher self, as does the sun symbol on the forehead, or third eye area. The halo indicates a lot of mental activity, and there's focus and concentration, implied by the intense gaze on the task at hand. With one foot in the element of water, imagination, and the other on dry land, our version of reality, it's clear that the intention is to manifest. As we know, manifestation can take a considerable amount of time and other resources. Which introduces the Fool to the Devil, card number 15 of the deck. As devastating as this card is presented, it is the representative of our dark side. Perhaps the Fool is tempted to hasten the manifesting process and veer off into a seemingly easier route. Here we find society, as presented to us in card number 6, the Lovers. All manner of temptation and distraction, freely available to the Fool, should he or she care to participate. This is not an easy time for our Fool. Commitment to cause can be a very lonely moment in life, but it is a moment we each have to come to terms with. In card number 16, the Tower, we witness the trauma, total conviction to our cause, can have on our lives. This is where paths begin to separate again. We discover who and what is there for the long haul and what needs to be released. This can create devastation for the Fool, and unfortunately it's not a once-off occurrence. The Tower brings home the reality that we can't please everyone, and that choices have to be made and integrity honored. The earlier we adopt this reality, the less the Tower will impact our lives, although, there is no guarantee of this. A quick recap since the Wheel of Fortune. Choices had to be made at the Wheel of Fortune. Justice held the Fool accountable. And the Hanged Man offered a moment of introspection to realign with the purpose. After which the Fool left behind what was no longer necessary in the form of the Death card. Temperance finds the Fool hard at work to manifest the goal, which is now clearer than it was before. However, we don't live in isolation, and the Devil represents the vast number of distractions and temptations the Fool has to contend with during their quest to achieve the goal. The Tower stands for the traumas and dramas we all have to deal with during the course of our human existence.
So the message I get here is that the more time we spend focused on that end goal, the less trauma and drama we'll have to contend with in our lives.
If only life was that simple, Andrew. Remember that although our story here is linear, we don't live in a straight line. We get multiple opportunities to connect to our intuition. The tarot can help us to do that, and there are other ways as well, but most of us are so involved in what we perceive to be the purpose of our lives, usually the picket fence scenario, that we scroll right past what really matters, which is our personal quest.
How do I find my personal quest with the card, Sylvia? I mean, everybody wants to know that their lives matter and that they have a purpose. This is what many of my clients ask for, and I often have an issue trying to help them identify that.
It can be a challenge, Andrew. Kathy used to host the Oracle Room, one free question, readings on X Spaces. This has now moved to the Psychic Glympse Discord server. But I was there once when some clever little lady's request was, tell me about my life, or give me a whole life reading.
What? Who can expect a whole life reading in a one free question sitting? That's ridiculous.
Well, you know Kathy, she is usually very diplomatic, but it was actually quite cute how she dealt with the girl Andrew. Considering these are usually immature students, depictions of the Fool at the lover's stage of their journey. So Kathy calmly asked her whether her life was that insignificant, and gave her the same reading as everyone else.
Clever. But seriously, how do I guide someone who is searching for their purpose?
It can take a while for a person to identify exactly what their purpose in life is, and even if they can pinpoint it, they may not be quite ready to pursue it yet. When I get a client who is seriously wanting to find their purpose, then I refer them to Kathy. She does something called a soul print for them. It's a form of numerology, in conjunction with a 1-hour reading.
That sounds simple enough, but how do I do a soul print? And what is a soul print, and can I learn how to do it? And then what spread should I use to get to the bottom of it?
Andrew, those questions will be covered in future videos. But I suspect our listeners might want to get back to the Fool's journey for now.
Yes, of course. Sorry about that detour. I believe we were having a devil moment there. But while we've off topic, please remember to subscribe and watch Kathy's videos on all the cards. They're available on her channel here on YouTube, and can also be accessed via the Tarot Arcana channel on Discord. She's always adding new material too. Another thing worth checking both here and on Discord, in the Tarot Theatre, is your monthly Taroscope. There are other elements to the Tarot course that also get updated as she unravels our earthly challenges one by one.
Thank you, Andrew. So, back to our Fool's journey. After the events of the Tower, it's good to know that there's always hope on the horizon.
And speaking of hope, we now find the Fool with plenty of it. The Star, card number 17, heralds inspiration. This card will often talk about healing, which we all need after a traumatic event such as the Tower represents. Since we're on the Fool's journey, we expect the figure to represent her or him. We see them pouring liquid from 2 pitchers of water. One onto the ground and the other into the pond. If we take this to be the same character as the one in Temperance, we can assume that a solution has been found through trial and error between these 2 cards. The Devil, bearing every kind of temptation and constriction, and the Tower, demanding accountability. The Fool finds a moment of respite in the Star. All seems calm. The stars indicate hope, and the bird can be seen as an emblem of freedom from worry. Now reasonably confident in his or her path forward, the Fool moves ahead, but before long doubts start to creep in. Have the right decisions been made? Is there anything else that they've overlooked? What about competition? Or even those they are hoping to affect with their gift to the world? Card number 18, the Moon, is riddled with doubt, confusion and suspicions. Although the road ahead is unobstructed, the Fool needs to clear their mind before embarking on the final leg of the journey. Sleepless nights and needless worries can only result in a negative reception. Finally, the Fool reveals their purpose to the world. Having mustered the courage needed, they arrive at their personal event radiant and full of joy and enthusiasm. The Sun, card number 19, illustrates the Fool's past efforts, in the form of sunflowers from behind a brick wall. The child's arms are outstretched, ready to embrace the anticipated accolades. The Fool is illustrated as a child again. Nervous yet hopeful, innocent in the current experience, yet experienced in what they are about to share. Ready for that moment, the Fool announces their purpose to the world. Grateful, yet surprised that those they had hoped to affect are receiving the gift with open arms. Card number 20, Judgment, is often interpreted as an awakening. Here we see the angel as the Fool, the harbinger of news to those who thought they were doomed to be kept in darkness indefinitely. At last, the Fool has qualified and receives the wand of accomplishment. In addition to the wand of potential that he or she had received from the magician during the incubation period. The world, card number 21, broadcasts the Fool's accomplishments to all the suits of the minor arcana and into the universe and eternity, as demonstrated on the top and bottom of the wreath of completion. Now the zero is no longer empty potential, it is filled with confidence and achievement.
Yo, so I'll have to go through all this again, Sylvia. It sure does put reading the tarot into a different perspective for me. Obviously I have many questions, and I'm sure our viewers have some of their own. But our time is running out, so I'm just going to suggest that they ask in the comments section of this video.
Good idea, Andrew. They can also connect with Kathy or admin on the @Psychic Glympse profile as subscribers, or on any of the links listed. The handle is the same on all of Kathy's social profiles, and if you have a quick question, she'll welcome you in the Oracle room on Discord. So become a member there and you'll get notified on the 1 free question sessions. I believe she hosts them once a month on Sundays, but you'll have to check the events on her server and click the button to express your interest in attending the next session.
Absolutely. You can also book a reading with Kathy through any of those channels. All the cards are available here on YouTube and on Discord, and they're releasing new content all the time. I'm sure you don't want to miss any of those. Thank you, Sylvia, for sharing those amazing insights, and thank you, our viewers, for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to this channel for updates. You've been listening to The Fool's Journey Through the Major Arcana with Andrew from Psychic Glympse. Goodbye for now.